Good evening, Dr. Gould. This is Linda Lomas. I would like to present to you my self-analysis in light of innovation personas in Tom Kelley's 10 Faces of Innovation. I am beginning the presentation by saying this is me stepping outside of my comfort zone. Several weeks ago, I had no idea how to make a video, let alone have the courage to narrate it. Hopefully, I will graduate to videotaping myself soon. After reading Tom Kelley's 10 Faces of Innovation, I have identified myself in a learning persona, an organizing persona, and a building persona. I find that for me, these personas build on one another in their depth of understanding and action. I see them as stepping stones toward the development of my true creative leadership persona. I have chosen to focus on the three that practically jumped off the page and screamed, "Linda, this is you!" This has been a truly reflective experience for me and has clarified and validated my vision of myself as a creative leader. The following are my innovative personas that will assist me in overcoming the devil's advocate. My learning persona is the anthropologist. I am a true observer of human nature. My tendency in any unfamiliar situation is always to observe. I observe the people, I observe the interactions and the dynamics of play, I observe the environment, and mostly I observe the responses of people in relation to one another. Do people feel comfortable or nervous? Are they confident or unsure of themselves? Do they respond differently in one environment than in another? Much can be learned through observation. Like Kelley says, people drawn to this role find it intrinsically rewarding. I believe it is rewarding because it provides valuable information for building relationships with people. It's also a good way to determine a challenge. I am one of those people who keeps a bug list and an idea list. I talk about my list with other anthropologists and brainstorming ideas for solving the problems of the world or just the education system. Because I am an observer, I am often questioned about my lack of participation when first joining a new group. Joking remarks such as, "Don't say so much next time, Linda," are not uncommon. As an anthropologist, I have learned that by sitting back and observing, when I do say something, it is well thought out, contributes to solving the problem, and is taken seriously because I'm not filling up spaces in the conversation with irrelevant chatter. I find that people tend to take my ideas more seriously when I do speak for those reasons. It is critical to observe people for the purposes of developing relationships. When I first meet people, either as their supervisor, client, student, or in my personal life, I let other people do the talking. I find out their interests, habits, values, what they hold dear. In that way, I can determine how to best develop a relationship with them that will be positive and forward moving. I ask questions beyond who they are and try to get to what they consider their core values to be. If we can even find one core value in common, we have a shared place to begin building a relationship. My organizing persona is the collaborator. This is a very comfortable position for me. I have a firm belief in the team approach and that every organization should be a learning organization. This cannot happen with a top-down model. As a leader, I must be a learner first. Like the true anthropologist, I see each situation as new and enter with an open mind. Unfortunately, not everyone around me does this. Due to their past experiences, it takes time for people to trust that I am a true collaborator and not a top-down leader in disguise. This is where the building relationship skills come into play. Since I have taken the time to observe people, I am able to meet them where they are and take the time to show them who I am. As a supervisor, my goal is for people to learn and be inspired to improve their performance. I expect that people will make mistakes, as I will, and only ask that they will learn from those mistakes. I try not to tell people exactly what to do or do it for them, though it would be easier at times to do this. I am motivated by coaching people and allowing them to feel the self-confidence that comes with learning, new learning and mastery. Regardless of the level of involvement I have with a person, my goal is always to develop a positive, trusting relationship with them. As Sharma tells us, applying empathetic and generative listening skills are key to collaboration. My persistence in creating collaborative teams knows no bounds. Having recently come into a new leadership role in which people work in isolation a great deal, it was my immediate goal to break down the silos and bring all the parties to the table to create professional learning communities. Luckily, I realized cultures don't change overnight. I have the determination and self-concept, yes, that is a necessary quality, to withstand the resistance I will face at all levels. My passion for learning at all levels takes precedence over all else. My building persona is the caregiver. Again, I can't help but notice not only the similarity in these three personas, but how they build upon one another. Kelley tells us that the best caregivers exude competence and confidence. While I may not always feel confident on the inside, I make sure that I always model a calm, cool, and collected manner in front of my fellow administrators, staff, students, parents, and our school district customers. I consider it my role to support and reassure them while guiding them in a positive direction. Because I develop relationships with people, I am able to respond individually in the way that is conducive to their growth and learning. I make it a habit to think about the other person's situation and feelings before passing judgment in a situation and consistently come from a place of what can we learn from this experience? If it is interesting at times to see the responses I get from this approach. In my current position, I have a staff person who tends to react with high anxiety to perceived stressful situations. I've focused on modeling and teaching remaining calm and confident in situations, reinforcing her ability to handle the situation. She has recently started telling me that she is trying to be more like me, calm, confident, and stress free. I'll never tell her that I am anything but stress free. She needs to believe I am. She has become more confident in handling small issues on her own. So the first question is, in light of this analysis of my identified personas, how can I lead a team through the creative problem-solving process that considers divergent data, planning strategies, and views? In my vision of myself as a creative leader, I visualize building professional learning communities as a way to lead people through the design process. Using Senji's learning organization model, along with Sharma's Theory U, guiding people through the learning process of letting go and letting come to solve challenges, I have begun this process in my new position, developing learning communities to implement school-wide positive behavior support practices. This team is broken into smaller teams to develop innovative solutions using the design process that I have brought to them. They're excited and motivated, as I am, to see how it develops. I have also developed small cluster PLCs that involve teachers, administrators, academic coaches, and special education teachers to venture into collaborative inquiry and action research to solve the challenges that are identified by the team. Again, using creative problem solving, teams are beginning the collaborative process. I have made clear to these groups that they are not top down. The formal leaders in the process are there to learn and are not to be considered leaders in this venue. They are all leaders and facilitators in the process. I am excited to see where this process goes, as it is now the topic of my dissertation. How would I lead with a mind to the open future that considers educational entity reform in light of global context and phenomenon? Hopefully, as I continue to understand my personas and my vision of myself as a creative leader, I will be able to not only continue to assist in the culture change of the current school I am in, but have an impact on the educational system as a whole. The education system cannot continue to exist as it has for as long as I can remember, and even longer than that. Educators need to come out of their silos and collaborate with one another. Leaders need to lead from the middle and be active learners in their organizations. There are many changes that need to occur in the education system. We can only make changes by forging ahead in spite of resistance. Developing relationships, listening, and demonstrating impressive empathy in order to develop a culture of learning that will break down the walls of isolation and encourage collaborative communication and trust. How can I influence thinking and actions of others to carry out plans for reform? I can do this in the best way I know how. By honing my skills as an anthropologist, a collaborator, and a caregiver, and using these skills as part of the team of educators involved in this creative process. I can continue to step outside of my comfort zone to become an agent of change in the educational field.